Well, hello again, DirtFish Rally friends. It's the end of day one of the Monte Carlo Rally. Just 2 stages today, but my goodness me, David, they were eventful stages. I think we've learned quite a lot about potentially what we might see happening this weekend. Shall we have a quick look, David, at what the top 5 or 6 is before we pick your rather gargantuan brain?
That won't take long, Cole.
It won't take long. Right. Yeah, let's have a quick rundown then of the top 5 or 6 places. I'll just put my glasses on for that one because I can't see otherwise. So leading the way after 2 stages, it is Tanak and Martin Järveoja. Their lead over, this one's a little surprising, Rovanpera, 3.3 seconds. Elfyn Evans is back in 3rd place, 8.5 seconds off the lead. In 4th, really good start for Thierry Neuville and Martin. How are we saying the co-driver's surname?
Good luck.
And Martin. 5th place, Sebastian Ogier with, well, an interesting start for him. We will fill you in on that in just 1 second. Ogier finding himself 16.9 seconds off the lead. Sordo is in 6th, Lube 7th, 8th is Andreas Mikkelsen in our leading R5 car. Mo is 9th and Greensmith is 10th. That's the formalities out the way, David. 2 stages, 2 interesting stages. Tanak, let's talk about him first.
Well, you've got to. I mean, you know, we talked to him before the start, and you know, everybody naturally wants to know how much of that huge accident last year is going to be in the back of his mind. And he said, you know, quite honestly, I've driven an awful lot of kilometres since then. We've spent a lot of time in the car. Crucially, he's done a lot on tarmac. You know, we saw him in Italy in the summer last summer. Not a lot on tarmac. He's done enough on tarmac. He did Monza 6 weeks ago. You know, these drivers have the ability to forget everything and get on with it. And that's exactly what he's done today.
He has. And Monza was really his first rally, his first full rally after that big off. And he looked a little bit out of sorts, I thought, in Monza. But I know you disagree.
I think he did.
I don't think we saw him in his finest form at the top of his game.
How could he be when they were chasing the Manufacturers' Championship?
Okay, that's all.
Thierry had gone.
Fair enough. I
was right.
He is right. He's always right.
Thank you.
But a really impressive performance.
Yeah.
It wasn't trouble-free for him either. That's the impressive thing.
Yeah.
He did have a couple of issues out there.
He did. He obviously had the wipers at the end of stage 1, and then he had a stall, or the engine didn't fire quickly enough at the start of 2. So the seconds there, you know, undoubtedly the wipers thing, it would really get into your head as well, you know. And as we saw from Teemu, the end of that first one was not easy.
It wasn't
at all. So no, I think a really solid start from him.
Second place, obviously we've mentioned it already, was young Rovanpera, the leading Toyota, David. He had an exceptional run, maybe the best drive of the day, I think. Rovanpera right there. Really not trying too hard either, which for me was interesting.
But I think as well, you know, that can be a key to Monte, can't it? That you just relax, you don't try and push too hard, you don't try and take too much. But interestingly, we're seeing drivers from further back on the road leading the rally now. You know, Callie wasn't in. What was he, 4th, 5th on the road, something like that. So there are some cuts, and the corners are getting dirtier. But he just seemed to click, didn't he? You know, looked like you say, completely relaxed. And just made a really solid start.
Well, we caught up with Callie just as he was in the media zone after stage 2. Let's hear what Callie had to say.
I was not expecting that, but the feeling was still good to start. I felt that the first stage is gonna be quite normal wet stage, and I know I enjoy usually on those. And surprisingly, the second one was also really tricky, but the time is good and. Nothing major, I was not doing any big push or anything, just normal driving. It was quite easy choice for the tires, but it was still not sure because we don't have the experience from the condition, and it was first time for me to drive this tire on the wet tarmac. So it was quite new thing, but it was quite quickly we could feel it. Tomorrow is gonna be tricky for sure. There is much more mixed conditions, and we are gonna have proper snow and ice. So. Yeah, I try to keep up the same driving, no any big push or mistakes, but just clean driving, and hopefully I can keep the pace up.
David, Callie looking and sounding, as we said, really relaxed. Let's go further down the leaderboard though. Elfyn Evans, you know, nothing spectacular from Evans either way really. It was a good start, a solid start from Elfyn.
3 right opens and tight split, 5 plus, round wall.
Not a big moment, not by any stretch, but a moment. Got onto the white line and the car started to get away from him. A few more kilometres an hour, it may have been an issue.
It had the potential to be a very big moment, as we saw with Suninen.
Well, yeah, it did. But equally, that's why Elvin's at the end of the stage. That's why Tamu's not. It was, I would say, a fairly undramatic start for Elvin. Just what he needed, just to give him the confidence again after what was, Monza can't have been an easy rally for him at all. So, no, a good start. I think, now is a good time to talk about the fact that if we talked about where are the Toyotas going to be at the end of day one, okay, only 2 stages, you would have turned it upside down. You would have put Ogier, Elvin, and then Kelly.
Yes.
We've seen already brake problems for Ogier, and that, on any rally, you absolutely do not want brake problems. You want absolute confidence when you push the brake. You're going to have the pressure there and it's going to work. Monte, places like Monte, Corsica, these guys, and okay, we're not in the mountains exactly, but it's still, it really compromises your speed and your confidence in the car, and I think that's what we've seen from Ogier. And clearly, it wasn't a bleeding brakes issue, because he would have had time before the start of the second stage to do that, and I'm sure they did whatever work they could do. But he still, at the end of stage 2, was talking about a lack of confidence in the car.
And we've skipped Neuville, and we'll go back to Neuville in just a second or two, because it was an interesting start to this new partnership with Thierry Neuville. But let's talk a little bit more about Ogier, because Ogier is the master of Monte Carlo. If he wins this one, he becomes the most successful driver ever. And perhaps, I know you're going to disagree with me here, but perhaps there was an opportunity this evening, or we certainly this afternoon, we thought there was. He knows the stages, it's in his own backyard, he's first on the road. We guessed it would probably get muddier and more difficult. How much, potentially, might he regret that brake problem? Because he's now got to chase, and that is never easy on a Monte.
Yeah, but this, I was just about to say there's an awfully long way to go. Actually, there's not. This is the shortest Monte in the event's history. Ultimately, the gap is it's 16 seconds, isn't it? That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
When you've only got 260 kilometres or something, and they've done 40 of those. Okay, so he may well regret it.
He might, but I have to remind everyone that Ogier, if you remember, David, he went off, didn't he, a few years ago on the first or the second stage? Remember when it was like an open hairpin, and he went off
on the inside.
30 seconds off, and we all wrote him off that year, didn't we?
Yep.
And what happened? Well, things changed around really quickly.
That's the thing. There's not as far to go in this Monte Carlo rally as there has been in previous years, but we have the potential for serious weather change coming in tomorrow. More snow, anything can have an impact on this event. And the one guy that has the knowledge to read the conditions, to understand the implications that has for the various stages, it's Ogier.
Has to be.
Maybe he hasn't driven the roads, but he knows how the cloud coming in from over there to meet some rain, what altitude. He understands all of that, doesn't he? Do you understand all of that?
You wouldn't have made a weatherman. You really wouldn't.
Not really. No.
Let's head back to the man in 4th place, though. We've talked about the Toyotas. Let's talk about Thierry Neuville. Neuville, you know what? A good start for him, a better start than maybe a lot of people expected. Such a difficult situation. 3 or 4 days before the rally to have to find a new co-driver he's never driven with before, a guy with very little experience. The first time they've sat together, stage one.
Yeah, no shakedown. I think, you say there, it's a good performance from Thierry. Of course it is. We know what we're going to get with Thierry. It's Martin, it's the co-driver that we don't know. He is essentially untried and untested at this level. So really, we've got to give credit to him.
Yeah.
He did a great job. We saw them shaking hands at the end of both the stages, which is, psychologically, it's a boost to the co-driver. But Thierry didn't open the door. He dropped quite a lot of time in the second stage. Was there an issue? We don't know.
There's a lot of discussion going on in the car,
one thing that I do wonder about, Thierry is a very, very clever guy, far cleverer than I am. But, when you've taken a new co-driver that clearly is going to be lacking in confidence, and if you want to understand what he's going through, go back to DirtFish.com and read Nicky Grist's interview, which was a real insight into what it takes to kind of come up to this level. So he's given this guy the seat for Monte Carlo, the toughest rally of the year, and then almost immediately he's talking about we'll assess the situation at the end of the first event. Why would you do that? Because immediately the co-driver then knows you know, if he makes a mistake, he's out.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you would say, yep, we're together for the whole year. You know, regardless of whether that's the position or not, you instill confidence in the guy that, yeah, he's there. We need to talk about MSport now.
Well, no, we do, but we just very briefly we want to talk about Sordo, because Sordo had a bit of a mare of a day.
It's a funny one.
Odd going on with that car.
He's talking about this noise in the rear diff or in A diff in the car, which is understandably you hear these noises. But what I didn't really get is that at the end of the first stage, he was quite happy with the car, quite happy with his driving, very surprised at the time loss. So, you know, if the car is not doing something it should because of that noise, you would have thought you'd have felt it and you'd have expected the
and
time
you'd have said
loss.
something.
Yeah, so it's strange. It's a very odd one.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've seen Danny in the past that he does struggle in these mixed conditions when the grip isn't terribly consistent. And you'd have to say that today it really wasn't. And, you know, they're running on the new tyres, most of them running on the super soft tyre. And in the second stage, I think it was only Lube that went with the winter tyre. So, you know, they're learning a lot. And Danny tends to sort of build his speed, doesn't he?
He does, and he is very much, as you say, a confidence driver.
Yeah.
Let's have a look then at possibly the moment of the day so far. We have some video that we're going to show you. If you're Finnish, if you're a Teemu Suninen fan, close your eyes now. David, it is difficult to watch this accident, but you know, at the end of the day, he's just too fast coming into this corner, isn't he?
Excuse me, Colin. Yeah, he is, absolutely. And you know, if he'd made it through that one corner, we said this earlier, you know, he was an absolute hero, because
he was flying.
He was absolutely scorching his way through that stage, quicker, I think, at every split. 4.5 seconds up on Sebastian Ogier after 20k, 12 miles. Incredible pace. And it's just, the car's got away from it. But you'd have to say that it wasn't a little bit too quick. It was quite a lot too quick through there.
Elvin was a little bit too quick. Teemu was far too quick.
And it does look, you know, the white line, it's raining there. You know, the grip is clearly compromised. And we've heard that there is, the cage is bent in the car. We don't know if they're going to continue tomorrow.
Well, we've got this picture. Let's have a look at this picture, David. You can see from this picture that there is very heavy rear end damage there. And you could easily imagine that there's something that's bent in the cage underneath that rear end damage.
And earlier, I might have said that I didn't think the damage was going to be too.
When I did mention that perhaps there might be some damage. So Teemu Suninen, you know what? A part-time season, David. He needs good results this year. You know, he needs good results for his future. He needs good results for himself. But
fundamentally,
is it a disaster?
It is. You've got to say it is a disaster. Absolutely. Yeah. But again, if you get an opportunity to go back to DirtFish, if you're on DirtFish now, just have a look around. You'll find Richard Milner talking about the lengths that MSport Ford World Rally Team went to just to get to the start line. I mean, it's just a hammer blow.
You can't imagine the disappointment in that camp.
You know, they've worked tirelessly to get everybody there. The complications are incredible, and they've got there, and he's gone.
He's gone. There we go, folks. That's day one. David, driver of the day.
Hang on a second. No, 1 second. We've got to talk about. We were talking about MSport. So Gus, you know, then difficult position because he's got to drive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Adrian Formeau, unbelievable time through stage 2, quicker than, you know.
Here's something. There's something with MSport. MSport have got this remarkable run of scoring manufacturer points.
Yeah.
It goes back about 10 or 15 years.
As long as Gus is on the road.
Greensmith now has to get to the finish though, because you know, as we know later on in the rally, there is no super rally. So
no, but I mean, Greensmith is still chasing experience here anyway. But the one thing we do have to talk about is WRC2.
Go on quickly.
Mickelson
was very fast. Let me put my glasses back on again.
10 seconds quicker than any other Rally 2 car through the first stage. He said before the start of this stage, I'm interested in the WRC2 title, but what I'm really interested in is being the fastest Rally 2 car out there. He wants to dominate, and he did. He dominated that first stage, but then Formeau in the second one
was blindingly fast.
Absolutely.
Formeau in the second stage made up 4 places and was.
So then now this is 5.9
3 seconds nearly up.
Down.
Yeah.
What?
What do you want to say? Formeau is 8.9 behind.
He's not. Yes,
he is.
Yes,
I have it here. Yes, he is. I have it here.
And so, he took 5.9 out of Mickelson on the second one.
We'll give him that.
Yeah.
So, David,
so it's not all dark for MSport.
I think you'll find some might disagree with that, but yeah, you're quite right. There are shining little bright lights, twinkling in places.
Yeah.
Driver of the day?
Driver of the day, I would have to go with... I think Rovanpera.
I totally agree with that. Kalle Rovanpera
really
for me.
impressive.
And I think, you know, way too early to say, but I think he will be a proper player this year.
Way too early to say.
Yeah,
No, you're
way
absolutely right. Of course he will be. Of course he will.
Tell us a bit about tomorrow, David. How many stages
tomorrow,
have we got?
three stages in the first loop. They knocked the third stage out of the second loop to keep in with the 6 p.m. curfew. We're going west of Gap.
Yes.
Sorry, always get that right. West of Gap. And the one stage which we know the best is the fifth stage, SS5, which is the one they're not doing the second time around, which is Monte Carlo.
Yeah, good.
Which uses Col de Perty.
Oh, Col de Perty.
Which they haven't
stage.
been up there since 2014.
Yes.
But it's the hairpins. It's a beautiful
stage. Folks, it has been a really fascinating start to the rally. It's an early start tomorrow.
It's even earlier for us.
We'll be doing a preview for you, so if you want a little preview, we'll bring you all the weather conditions, the latest from the service park. What time is it live? First stage live tomorrow, David?
For us, 5:10 in the morning.
6 local time, the first stage goes live tomorrow morning. Folks, it has been a really fascinating day one here at the Monte Carlo Rally. If you have, by the way, any questions for our expert David Evans, make sure you send them in. We'll do an Ask the Expert session, probably tomorrow afternoon.
I thought you said you were the expert.
I'm the expert.
You're an expert
talker. But when it comes to rally, David Evans is very much the expert. Thank you very much for joining us today on the opening day of the Monte Carlo Rally.
I wish you would wrap it up.
See you all tomorrow. Thanks for your time.